How to make strong women, an issue we've struggled with for years. But why is it so hard? They're not exactly a minority, as 50.7% of the population are female. Maybe it's because men make up approximately 73 to 80% of all roles, including both on-screen and behind-the-scene positions. This disparity is particularly noticeable in non-acting roles, where women hold fewer than 1 in 5 key crew positions according to BBC, and also because they realise women aren't driven by them male gaze? What? That's right, you're seeing women on screen as men hating perfect people. That's because the film industry doesn't know how to write women with motivations other than men. Not the previous interpretation were any more depth-filled, with character types like the femme fatale, who is a woman manipulating men with her sexuality to aid her partner in crime, who was more than likely a man. There was the other archetypes like mother or wife, a bossy woman that ultimately is just looking out for the male protagonist, the fixer-upper,
so she's a bit of a fixer-upper,
who is a charming, cool girl that is usually a feminist, but by the end she calms down and becomes a wifey when she gets with the protagonist. And then finally, the manic pixie dream girl / princess. She fixes a man by being ditzy or woos them with her softer side and her innocence. But now, with women's rights and social standards changing with time, they need to stay up to date. But how do they write about women who aren't interested in men after so many years, especially when any character who wasn't interested in a man had previously wanted a man's power instead, which was inherently evil, like Ursula in The Little Mermaid wanting Triton's power, Cruella de Vil wanting the 101 Dalmatians coats for fashion. So how are they possibly going to change these stereotypical interpretations while also adhering to the Bechdel test, where they have to actually have other women talking to each other? It's impossible, or at least it seemed to the millions of people who were directing and writing media and movies and shows, but they did it and they deserve a medal. Just kidding. So let's have a look at the ways that this went. They had the femme fatale, but they made her a protagonist, pretty much a revamp of an old stereotype that is sexy and suave and strong and, well, it's just a woman objectifying herself to get what she wants. Much hated and negative stereotype that is no longer applicable after the Me Too movement. Another attempt was writing a man and pretending it's a woman. While I can see a guy realizing this and going, yes, equality, I've hacked it. But in practice, it's not really how it worked out, because both representations are flawed. Because a strong man, as represented in media, is a stoic guy, doesn't feel emotions, goes out of his way to not be considered weak, and, well, it just doesn't make for a realistic or relatable character, which is one of the main problems with this archetype. But despite this, it is a very common archetype, so much so that it has 2 applications when it comes to representing strong women. Application 1, a woman from the military, doesn't do anything that's considered girly and can do anything a man can do and better, which is pretty much I'm not like the other girls, which alienates women from other female supports. And to add to this, sometimes they hate men because that's very feminist coded, not. Another application is a fan favourite, not the Mary Sue. What do we think is a really cool man? Well, let's think of James Bond, the earlier ones, for example. All the opposite sex love him? Check. He's stoic and aloof? Check. He intellectually saves the day and never cares about anyone enough for it to get in the way of his mission? Check. But you have to admit, both James Bond and Wednesday are both unrealistic, aspirational, and sometimes dislikable characters that everyone in the series likes despite some of their negative traits. And they're a bit two-dimensional. But they're trying, right? It's not about a man's gaze, so why is there so much backlash? Well, part of it is just women hating, as in people hating women, but also because they're just too unrealistic, because a big part of writing or developing your own style in art is taking input from other things, not just media and archetypes, but also drawing from reality. What essentially I'm saying is, don't write them as men, don't do it for the male gaze, don't compare men and women, don't write them as an unobtainable standards, write them as humans. And that makes things like K-pop demon hunters so good. They're quirky, they have moments where they're gorgeous and others where they're stuffing their faces and looking completely goofy. There are moments where they fall into stereotypes, yes, like powerful men haters, but they break it down and have realistic reasons, like that they're demons and they're intimidated by them being cool. But never are they better than men. Never are they the same as each other or men. But always multifaceted beings, and that's the same with Barbie except for the goofiness of the Kens, which was a little bit problematic. The women are empowered. They're together. They realize that they're more than just perfect dolls. They're flawed beings. They have issues, both men and women, and that's what makes a good character, regardless of gender. But is especially important when it comes to writing strong women representations. As usual, thank you for watching my video and stay safe out there, guys.